Have you ever felt a quiet discomfort, something that deserves to be brought to light? That frightening rejection that seems to erase you actually serves as a necessary wake-up call. There's no softening the discomfort. Rejection hurts, burns, and leaves cracks. But the real impact comes from an inner mirror. When someone says no to something you've done, it's not you who's being discarded. It's a part of you still begging for attention. That's where the pain lives, in the things we refuse to face within ourselves. Jung suggested that we only notice reflections of our inner shadows in the things that annoy us about others. This insight reveals how external reactions become a map to explore and heal old wounds. Now picture yourself reliving that recent no, the lump in your throat, the heaviness in your chest, the doubt that creeps up unannounced. Notice which part of you lights up in that moment. The fear of failing, the desire to be accepted, the need to prove your worth. What if every rejection were also an invitation? A push toward building a stronger, more independent foundation. Imagine channeling that frustration into developing your own inner confidence until outside approval becomes nothing more than distant noise. Now recall that moment when the no felt final. The tightness in your chest, the sudden chill in your stomach, the inner voice questioning your worth. This feeling doesn't reveal weakness, but rather something that needs to be faced. In that moment, you let slip away exactly what makes you unique and attractive. Real attraction doesn't come from constantly being accepted. It comes from the magnetism born from self-reliance. Once you stop chasing endless approval, you start to radiate powerful energy. The world notices that your happiness doesn't depend on external validation. That's where many people get stuck, feeling uncomfortable with this idea. The more you chase after someone, the more you expose yourself to rejection. Human nature rejects neediness and steers clear of desperation. Every attempt to seek recognition signals insecurity, which repels rather than attracts. Practicing detachment doesn't mean not caring, it means trusting yourself. By no longer depending on external opinions, you demonstrate an inner authority that sparks curiosity and respect. You already have everything you need to shine. You just need to recognize your own worth. But how do you reach that level of self-sufficiency? The answer involves diving into your shadow, that part of you that's hidden, denied, or rejected. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the task of integrating every fragment of your personality. By embracing these hidden pieces, you become whole. With that internal balance, outside voices lose their power to shake your confidence, because the only rejection that truly matters is the one you allow yourself to believe. How many times have you quietly denied your own desires just to earn an applause that never came? How many times did you tweak your behavior to fit what you thought others expected, sacrificing your true self in the process? And ironically, you ended up getting rejected precisely because you weren't authentic. You were acting instead of living. Few people understand that real magnetism doesn't come from gimmicks or cheap persuasion tricks. It comes from embracing your own shadows and breaking free from the need for external validation by fully choosing yourself. This journey of self-discovery takes courage, but it's the only path to genuine attraction. Look around. So many voices begging for attention, scavenging scraps of approval like it's oxygen. Want to really stand out? Stop searching outside for what's already inside you. Drop the pleas for acceptance and follow your own path, even if that choice brings moments of isolation. It's in that intentional silence that your strength shines, the strength of someone who isn't afraid to be misunderstood, who holds fast to their purpose. People sense that presence, even if they can't explain where it comes from. That inner pursuit separates simple people-pleasing from a lasting impact that resonates with others. That's the true power of attraction. Not something manufactured, but a reflection of the inner freedom you've earned. Every no you receive stops feeling like a blow, and instead becomes an invitation to dive deeper into yourself and ask, why did I give so much power to others' opinions? Why did I seek approval from people who don't even control their own lives? Rejection works like a wake-up call. It shows you what you're still carrying inside. When someone says no, you're faced with a raw reflection of your unresolved issues and the dreams you left behind. That resistance hurts, but it sparks a bit of self-discovery. Notice that every no exposes both your insecurities and your hidden strengths. So instead of backing down, pay attention to what that no is trying to teach you. It points out where you need to grow and invites you to rediscover your true self. Accepting rejection doesn't mean giving up. It means turning each refusal into a stepping stone toward emotional independence. Stop seeking approval from people who don't get your reasons, and start building your self-esteem based on who you really are. True attraction doesn't come from molding yourself to others' wants. It comes from living by your own standards. That inner alignment is where your real strength comes from, the kind that can't be shaken by outside voices. There's a fascinating mystery in choosing to stand alone. It's not loneliness, but the clarity of valuing yourself first. When you're happy in your own company, rejection stops being a barrier and becomes a launch pad for the next step. And once you realize this about yourself, everything changes. Rejection no longer halts your progress. It becomes the starting line for exploring your full potential. You chase everyone's approval but ignore the deepest rejection, the one your own voice hands you. How many times have you given up what you really want just to fit into patterns that aren't even yours? Think about it. A no from someone else eventually fades. But the one you carry inside can last forever. Every day, with every choice, there's that silent question. Will this make the group happy? The fear of being left out seeps into everything you do, from little plans to big life goals. It's a quiet force, but it keeps you from speaking your mind. That inner pressure becomes tougher than any outside critique and hangs over you non-stop. Like Jung said, if you ignore your own shadow, it starts running the show from the dark corners of your unconscious. It's not your enemy, though. It holds parts of you that just want to be seen. Look back at your life and you'll spot the patterns, endings that feel eerily familiar, awkward moments that keep coming back, fights over the same issues. Each of those cycles is a mirror, giving you a chance to see where you're holding yourself back. Noticing these habits is the first step to taking back your power to choose. Facing your shadow takes guts and patience, and it's really just the opening act of a story that's still being written. But think about it. Every time the same pattern shows up in your life, it's no coincidence. It's a message from your own shadow demanding to be noticed. What if, instead of pushing back against rejection, you took a few seconds to really listen? What kinds of changes might happen if, rather than shutting your eyes, you turned your gaze inward? This is where Jung's psychology works its magic. The path to authenticity requires you to get up close with your inner chaos, the fears you'd rather keep locked away. As long as you dodge that meeting, you'll keep looking outside for a validation that will never come. The world only mirrors distorted versions of you. The idea is simple but profound. Visit those shadows you tend to avoid. Sure, they're uncertain territory, uncomfortable territory, but only by passing through them will you uncover aspects of your personality that have been asleep. There, in the unknown, lies the real raw material of your potential. And here's a key point. The more you try to shield yourself from the pain of rejection, the more you reinforce self-rejection. Most people live behind masks, settling into roles forged by the fear of facing what's most real inside them. The result? Folks operating on autopilot, people-pleasing and losing their essence in the process. But the invitation stands. How about you stop running from that inner voice and instead really listen to it? The answers you're looking for won't be out there in ready-made formulas. They're hidden in every unexplored corner of your being. And those discoveries are what keep you engaged, because with every step on this journey, you move closer to who you really are. Have you ever felt like something inside you holds you back? Like there's a part of you stuck in the dark? Facing that old piece of yourself, owning your deepest fears, is the game changer for quitting the fear of what others will think. The harshest rejection doesn't come from outside. It comes from that inner voice whispering doubts. When you welcome those voices and break down that internal wall, you realize no outside comment can shake who you really are. That's what true detachment looks like. It's not about becoming cold or indifferent, but discovering your worth comes from within. No applause or agreement needed. That kind of authentic confidence stands out because no one else can hand it to you. Most people cling to approval instead of giving themselves the thumbs up. Only those who make that conscious choice naturally shine, while everyone else just mirrors uncertainty. Now pause and think about the people who inspire you most, the ones who seem effortlessly magnetic. What do they have in common? They live by their own rules, they face their limits, and they act without bending to expectations. That display of inner strength, that's real attraction. No manipulative games, no cheap tricks. It's simply someone who's fully embraced themselves, and that speaks louder than any persuasion tactic. They're not out looking for approval. They stop chasing it and create a calm inner space that makes them magnetic. In that deep detachment, there's a quiet power. Once you stop needing others' acceptance, it shows up on its own. Quit the chase and watch what starts to gravitate toward you. By putting an end to that non-stop quest for validation, you clear the way for everything to flow naturally. Every step loses its anxiety, and you begin to feel a real connection with yourself, free from outside expectations. It's in that inner balance that you rediscover the lightness of your own pace. When you fully embrace that freedom, something amazing happens. Rejection loses its weight. The pain only exists while you're judging yourself. But the moment you let that go, you tap into genuine strength. From then on, the world can't help but notice a rare, authentic presence. It's like searching everywhere for a key when it's been in your pocket all along. So what if today, right now, you decided to put yourself first? What if you let go of fears, expectations, and labels that were never really yours? Picture yourself facing your reflection unfiltered, not needing anyone else's thumbs up, just your own, ready to recognize the most incredible thing in you. Stop wasting another second chasing validation from people who don't even value themselves. See every no as a bright signal, a call to wake up the strength that's already inside you. By kicking the people-pleasing habit, you make room for the unexpected to bloom. Opportunities and people aligned with your purpose will start showing up naturally. You'll feel this shift the moment you stop feeding your fear of rejection. Life then stops being a game of outside demands and turns into an invitation to be your true self. If you've come this far, ask yourself, what path would you choose if you knew for sure you'd never need anyone else's approval again? That's the question that will map out your next move. Moving past the fear of being turned down doesn't revert you to your old self. Something inside you changes for good. At this turning point, you confirm what you've always suspected. Your completeness was never out there. Rejection stops feeling like a sentence and starts opening doors to self-discovery and proving your own courage. Few people dare to walk this path. There's still one uncomfortable truth you need to face. When someone says no and slams the door, what really gets under your skin isn't the rejection itself, but the echo of that criticism in your own head. It hurts to hear, "You're not enough," because deep down, you're already carrying that same feeling. The real fear is facing your own insecurity mirrored in the eyes of whoever's setting the limits. That's when the magic starts. Rejection stops being the bad guy and becomes your ally, zeroing in on exactly what needs some care. Each no is like a map pointing out the wound you've been avoiding. Lots of people hide, deny, or cover up the truth, and that just drags the pain out longer. Want to tap into a rare power? Lock on to whatever scares you about yourself. Don't look away. It's in that silent space where no one else dares to go that the dark part of you lives. Stop burying your stumbles under layers of forced perfection. In the perfect world we imagine, failure gets dressed up as victory. But what if instead of faking wins, you used every no as fuel to keep moving forward? No masks, no shortcuts, just the guts to face your own cracks. Right there at the crossroads of fear and truth is where everything begins to change. On social media, we often see perfect smiles and filters that hide fears and doubts. But what if, instead of covering up your emotional scars, you chose to show them with courage? What if you made it clear that rejection, fear, and uncertainty were all part of your journey, but they didn't stop you? The truth is, trying to hide every bit of vulnerability just creates a disconnect. Authenticity, sharing your wounds and the lessons you've learned, is what really connects us. People can spot something that's forced. What moves us are genuine stories marked by falls and fresh starts. So stop treating rejection as a sign of weakness. Turn every no into a badge of resilience. When you embrace your imperfections, you tap into a strength that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. It's not about playing the victim. It's about owning your worth even in the face of challenges. When you accept that you can be rejected without being defeated, you gain emotional freedom and level up to a whole new plane. You know why so many people end up feeling lost? Because they let their identity become hostage to everyone else's applause. That emotional dependency is a trap that always leads to frustration. But heads up, I'm not saying you should ditch social life and become a hermit. Quite the opposite. The real challenge is learning to connect from a solid internal foundation, one that isn't seeking approval, but genuine companionship. When you invest in your true self, you uncover talents, passions, and skills that used to get overshadowed by the need to be validated. Have you noticed how the deepest connections happen when you stop forcing them? It's that quiet rule few people figure out. The moment you quit the chase, things start coming to you naturally. This isn't about settling. It's about living with purpose and intensity, owning so much space in your own authenticity that there's little room left for outside anxieties. Sure, rejection will still pop up, but it'll lose its power to hurt you, because you won't see it as the boss of who you are. To kick off this change, take a pause and question your motives. Why are you chasing so much recognition? What do you expect from each compliment? When you answer honestly, you stop acting out of need and start acting from conviction, turning every interaction into a chance for real exchange. Now here's a provocative exercise. Close your eyes and picture this. Every dream fulfilled, every goal met, every door wide open. What comes next? The answer might surprise you. A void, because nothing outside of you has the power to fill the space only your authenticity can. Have you ever stopped to think what that really means? True satisfaction doesn't come from the outside. It blooms inside you. Nothing out there can fill that void. It's all about recognizing your own worth. And here's the catch. If everything you're looking for is already inside you, why do you keep relying on compliments and validation from others? Because it's easier to believe someone else let you down than it is to take responsibility for your own happiness. But it's in that very fear where your real power lies. Once you accept that nobody's going to rescue your emotions, you stop waiting on outside gestures to feel whole. And that brings us to the big truth about deep rejection. The secret is realizing you don't need anything beyond yourself to feel complete. And only then will you genuinely attract what really matters. Not out of need, but by choice. That small shift in mindset changes everything. You stop reaching out with begging hands. Stop asking for permission. You move forward with autonomy, conviction, and courage, knowing your worth will never depend on someone else's opinion. Now, I want to share something almost nobody admits with this much honesty. Living with authenticity takes guts. It means letting go of fitting into ready-made molds and other people's choices that might feel safe but don't reflect who you really are. And it's that very freedom from the rules that sparks genuine curiosity, admiration, and unexpected doors opening. Because when you move freely without worrying about applause, you end up getting the biggest recognition of all. Truly magnetic people don't chase the spotlight. They move forward without caring about the echo of cheers. Their presence just flows, drawing in those who seek sincerity and keeping empty expectations at bay. In that space, a no isn't a roadblock. It's a mirror showing how much we still project our desires onto the outside world. When you feel the weight of a no, remember there's an invitation there to dive deeper into yourself. Are you ready for that inner look? Accepting rejection means embracing the challenge, welcoming the discomfort, and turning it into strength. It's an invitation to descend into the place where your deepest truth lives. You've already blown up the invisible gears that drive your behavior and uncovered the hidden dynamics behind each refusal. But there's still a bigger challenge, exploring unknown ground that only reveals itself through your most authentic choices. And it's in that uncharted territory that the real journey begins.